I'm here today to provide you with an update on our work regarding the review of the International Student Program and some of the reforms that we'll be implementing as a result. As you're likely aware, the use of fraudulent admissions letters has been a major concern for my department this year and continues to pose a serious threat to the integrity of our student program. I want to stress this point. International students are not the problem. They come here with hopes and dreams, and they are essential to building this country and the future and the ambition that we set ourselves for a country. I've met with a number of international students today, Puneet, for example, who spoke so eloquently about the precarious position that she's faced in her journey to permanent residency and the anxiety and fear that that's created. That is magnified when we have a system that has lost its integrity and is subject to, at sometimes, some of the worst aspects of fraud. Starting by the end of the year, we're taking steps to prevent this type of fraud by introducing an enhanced system of actually verifying the letters of acceptance directly with post-secondary institutions for all overseas study permit applications. Canada is a major destination and a top destination for international students, thanks to our open, welcoming communities and high-quality educational institutions. Between January and August of this year, we've received over 608,000 study permit requests while processing over 600,000 of these in the same period. International students, as I mentioned, bring a lot to Canada, benefiting campus life and Canada's multicultural spirit in communities across the country. By being open to international students, we benefit from new ideas, ways of learning, and researching coming into our post-secondary system. And clearly, this movement of students to Canada brings with it significant economic advantages as well, with international students contributing well over $20 billion to our GDP annually.
Beaucoup de ces étudiants découvrent notre pays, veulent y rester et remplir les postes vacants lorsqu'ils obtiennent leur diplôme. Chaque année, des milliers d'anciens étudiants étrangers remplissent des conditions requises et font la transition vers un séjour permanent. Cependant, nous devons disposer d'un système fiable, équitable et efficace. Nous voulons que tous les Canadiens sachent que nous agissons pour préserver l'intégrité de notre système d'immigration.
The issue of letter of acceptance fraud really came to the forefront earlier this year. Immigration, Refugee, Citizenship Canada and Canada Border Services Agency investigations were already underway when in June, fraudulent letters of admissions were reported. The investigation identified nearly 1,550 study permits applications initially connected to fraudulent letters. In most of those cases, the fraud was detected and the application was refused. In approximately 450 of the remaining cases, fraud wasn't identified during the processing and study permits were issued. In some cases, people have shown up at the doorsteps of institutions to find out that their hope has been dashed. When media reports surfaced, a number of international students came forward as victims, not participants in the submission of the fraudulent documents. And I'd also say that because of the precarious nature of some international students, there is a hesitancy to come forward. And that only magnifies the fact that this could very well be the tip of the iceberg. To ensure that genuine students were supported, an IRCC task force was struck to review the facts of cases for individuals once the Immigration and Refugee Board had completed its proceedings.
Pour identifier les étudiants qui sont des étudiants véritables, l'examen du groupe de travail cherche à savoir si les étudiants se sont inscrits à un établissement, s'ils ont terminé leurs études, s'ils étaient conscients des stratagèmes frauduleuses, s'ils avaient des liens avec des activités criminelles ou s'ils avaient fait d'autres fausses déclarations dans leur dossier de candidature. Of the approximately 450 cases, there were 285 of interest to the task force, and as of mid-October, the IRCC task force had reviewed 103 cases and determined that 63 students were genuine students. In 40 of these cases, these individuals were found not to be genuine students. For those students found to be genuine students, 30 were issued temporary resident visas. Most of the remaining cases are still before the IRB, and the task force will intervene where appropriate once adjudicative processes are concluded. As we continue to review the international student program,
I can also confirm that we'll move ahead with a new recognized institution framework. We've been actively engaged with stakeholders, including Sheridan College, post-secondary education associations, and learning institutions on this concept, and we'll continue to refine it. We plan to implement the recognized institution framework in time for the fall semester of 2024. The framework would recognize those institutions whose international students benefit from top-class services, housing, and other supports. Our goal here is to punish the bad actors, make sure that they are held accountable, and reward the good actors who provide adequate outcomes for the success of the international students. Such institutions that are recognized could benefit from, for example, faster student permit application processing destined for the students destined to their school. And as we move towards implementing it next year, additional details will be shared to fully explain how institutions would become recognized and what benefits that would bring.